welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is Erik Rico Hoffmeyer. How's your day been?
It's been great. I killed 12 bugs before lunch.
Ever since we saw this movie in '97, you've been just smushing. You're up to like 50,000 bugs now.
I've been averaging about 47 a day for the last 30 years.
Man, that's crazy. So how many? I can't do the math on that. That's a lot. No, just yeah.
It's not enough. I'm not going to stop until they're all dead.
We've never until today picked up on the fascist undertones of this film. We just took this as straight up bug smashing.
Never. My 17-year-old brain, when I saw this, was just overloaded with machine guns and shower scenes and all kinds of mayhem. And then I went and read the book, which was completely different from the movie. And then I hadn't watched it in more than 20 years, and it pops up on Netflix. And, you know, we're all watching a lot more TV these days than normal. So I'm like, let's watch this again and see if it holds up. And it was a very different viewing experience watching Starship Troopers the second time, decades later.
Oh, I remember, too. You had the paperback of that book.
I did. I saw the movie, then I went out and bought the book.
And it's very misleading, too, because it's a completely different film. I mean, Verhoeven, he doesn't mess around. He did not want to mess around with what was in that book. It's a completely different experience.
No, wait. The movie is inspired by the book. The movie is really not much to do with the book at all. In fact, I was reading or watching an interview with Verhoeven, and he couldn't even get through the whole book.
Yeah,
he tried reading it. He's like, forget this. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, Verhoeven doesn't have time for that. I mean,
no.
You know, so they started writing this script in 91. It was a long process. And by the time they got to it, he had done over 4,000, what's the word? He had done, 4,000, it's not coming to me, 4,000, storyboard frames for this. And in the script notes, he had jots everywhere. I mean, this guy, as soon as he got into this script, he just started like writing and planning and making this the best way possible. And you know, they didn't even want to make it, the studio. It bounced around the studios. And by the time they finally made it, it's because he took a day off from Showgirls and he got with Phil Tippett, the guy who won an Academy Award for Jurassic Park, worked on the AT-ATs and Empire Strikes Back, the best in the business. And they shot a one-day test where an Olympic gymnast was being chased by a bug. And then he killed the bug. And the studio was impressed, so then they put him into pre-pro. And then that's when the movie happened.
That's amazing. I had no idea. I knew that the original script was called Bug Hunt on Outpost 9.
Yeah.
That was the original script before it went to Verhoeven. But that's amazing.
Yeah, they wanted it to be like a Zulu type, siege thriller where these people were just getting smushed by bugs.
Yeah, that's what the battle was when they went to the distress call, was based on the Zulu movie in South Africa. I think the movie was filmed in the 60s.
Yeah, and Verhoeven wanted it just to look like that, where it's just one against many, and the bugs just completely outnumber them. I mean, that's I gotta tell you, so this was made in '97. Phil Tippett he did a lot of the early CGI. Then you have Amalgamated Dynamics. They did Tremors in '90. You watch Tremors now, and that movie hasn't aged a day. Just type in Tremors miniatures right now. They still look beautiful. And then what also drew me in, I don't know if you noticed this too, Erik, but in '97, this movie was really violent. So you and I grew up on Die Hard, right? We watched Die Hard when we were 12. We watched 10, probably. We watched Pulp Fiction when we were 12.
I'm still trying to figure out how that happened.
You were 14, I guess, at the time. But we were Reservoir Dogs. I don't know if you remember this, man. Remember when I watched Reservoir Dogs when I was like 10? I'm like, I'm going to stop watching R-rated movies for a while. And then Lethal Weapon 2 came out, and I'm like, well, I kicked that habit, and I went to watch Lethal Weapon 2. But, cliffhangers, we were kind of used to that. But this movie...
People got ripped apart. Ripped by limb on this movie. It was kind of a different type of approach to violence in the 90s.
When that guy got shot in the head when he took his helmet off, I mean, that was so brutal. And Kevin Yeager did it, and he's the guy who developed Chucky for Child's Play. And he worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, or Nightmare on Elm Street, all the gags. And one of my favorite movies, Sleepy Hollow. This movie had Verhoeven, who was hot. I mean, he had RoboCop. He had Total Recall. He had Basic Instinct. Now, Showgirls was a classic, NC-17 flop, but you watch it now and you see what he's going for. But I love movies like this, like Starship Troopers and The Happening, that these are movies that only get made when, The Lone Ranger or Evan Almighty. These are movies that only get made when a director has so much power and so much success that he gets basically a blank check to make a
Plus
movie.
a stroke of luck.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw an interview where he said the studio had a revolving door of executives for the 14 to 16 months they are filming this. So the weren't around long enough to say, what are you doing? That's the Nazi flag. I mean, but that's, how did you do this? So they weren't around long enough. So it just happened at the right time in the Sony Pictures history.
And so you're an executive, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, I got Paul Verhoeven with Phil Tippett and Vic Armstrong, the guy who did all the stunts on Raiders of the Lost Ark and all these movies.
And $100 million.
Yeah, $100 million. You're probably thinking, I'm okay, right? I got Verhoeven, I got Phil Tippett, I have Vic Armstrong, I have Kevin Yeager, I have all the talent in the world on this movie, and they're fine. Phil Tippett, he did Jurassic Park. We love him. Let's keep him happy. So I'm just worried about my own job. Then they get fired, and then the same person thinks that. So Erik, you're the studio exec. You're Sony studio exec. You see this movie for the first time.
What just happened? What am I watching right now is probably my reaction to the movie.
And you're thinking, I lost my job. I just started here, and I lost my job. I didn't even fund this 3 years ago, and now I'm going to lose my job because of this.
Well, luckily you could say I just came in. I had nothing to do with this movie whatsoever.
They did it. But I think this is fair, man. Like, so we'll get to this in a little bit, but this movie, like for you and I when we were 15 and 17, this was guns, guts, blood, just swear words. It was 29-year-old actors playing teenagers, which is a little odd, and just state-of-the-art special effects and gore, and
you connect with it. You connect with it as a teenager for sure.
I mean, listen though. I remember when I was 15 though, I saw MPH in his Nazi regalia, and I knew enough then at the time to go, he's in Nazi regalia. Like, even when I was 15, I kind of
really?
I knew it. I was like, this is, because you remember like during this time, oh no,
because it was like Doogie Howser. Yeah. All I could see was Doogie Howser. I could not see the costume at the time.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I get, but for some reason, man, I was like, that's.
Something doesn't seem right here.
Exactly.
I can't put my finger on it.
Like watching that one kid go, I'm doing my part, and he smiles. And the very heightened performances when he's on video when Rico's on video with Carmen, and everyone's heightened. Like, it's a very heightened thing. So you're kind of thinking, and it's very brightly lit. I mean, this movie is incredibly gory and almost bleak, and at the end, it doesn't even really end. But it looks so pretty and glossy, and there's always it's a very weird experience, but I just remember going, gunfights, decapitations, like heads popping off like nothing. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how when you focus on one thing, you can't see everything else. Like, there's a famous psychology experiment where this group of basketball players are passing a ball back and forth from one another. And in the psychology experiment, they tell the viewer, okay, watch the ball, see how many times the ball is passed to each basketball player and count. Now, you go through the exercise, you watch and you count the number of passes. And after at the end, they ask you, did you see the giant gorilla walk through the center of this basketball team, bang its chest, and walk away? And you're like, no, I couldn't see it because I was so focused on the basketball changing that I didn't see this giant gorilla walking through the action. And then they play it again, and then you see it because you're starting to focus on it, and that's all you see now is the gorilla in the middle. So it's just such an interesting mental trick that you're focusing on one thing and you completely miss everything else happening because you're so tuned into that storyline. Like, now when I look at it, and I just turned 40 and I'm looking at it, I'm completely creeped out by do you want to learn more? Do you want to know more? I'm creeped out by how they were going to televise the execution of the guy convicted for murder. I'm creeped out about these little kids in a frenzy state squishing the bugs. It's amazing how that now is what I see more than the actual storyline, because that's what I'm looking at later in life.
And Dez's dogged pursuit of Johnny Rico.
I think that's brilliant, because when I watched it for a second time, I was still as torn up when Diz died as I was when I was 17. And I think because Verhoeven is so smart, he's tapping into male primal instinct that you want a beautiful partner chasing after you. Yeah. You want this beautiful woman to want you. unconditionally, and it just plays into our male ego so hard that it really hurts. Like, it was way worse than watching like Trinity die in Matrix or any other movie where a love interest passes away, but that one hit hard.
I mean, he wrote that character as such an I don't know, maybe this is the right word, but archetype or stereotype as character. But I also kind of like that he kind of made her a badass, and I also like people also talked about the gender reversal where Carmen is the pilot and she becomes a successful one, and she's like, all right, Rico, I've had enough. Like, that's a cool little. I like how he does that. Like, he subverts your expectations in a lot of ways. But this movie
that
too
happens.
Like, he went into this movie though, knowing that I got blood and guts and all these things. So not only was he making a sly little satire, like the cinematographer of this movie. No, Phil Tippett told Verhoeven that he made the world's most expensive independent film, but he was also adding. He's also very good with Total Recall and Basic Instinct and RoboCop. Even when he's thrown in satire or something smart, he's also blowing up stuff. And
agreed. The part with Denise Richards, like, I mean, how many times has this played out? Millions of times every year when you have a high school sweetheart and you go off to college and you slowly drift apart because one person wants to do one thing because they set their heart on or their dreams. It's a perfectly rational decision that Denise Richards' character made. She's following her career and leaving her high school sweetheart. That's something that repeats itself in every high school across America all the time. So the fact that we would dislike her for it is extremely unfair. But I remember when I watched this at 17, I was like, oh, she's heartless and she's awful. But then now I'm like, I get it. You get to fly. Good for you.
And watching the Honest trailer, they were saying that she was, there's a lot of funny stuff in the Honest trailer, but they were saying that she's the worst. And I'm kind of thinking, she's going to be a pilot flying a massive tanker through, like, that's I don't know. It's a pretty good gig.
You can do a lot worse than her character.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
No, but I like that. But it's another interesting thing about what Verhoeven's movies do so well is, when I watched Total Recall when I was a kid, I never looked at it the way I looked at it now. Like when I watched RoboCop, I thought, I was like, these performances are really heightened and this is all odd. But now you watch it now and you're like, oh. So he knows how to. I think he knows how to appeal to 15-year-olds, but he also knows how to appeal to adults. But I gotta tell you, this movie had a lot of rotten reviews. Critics did not really enjoy it. Some liked it, some did. But I really think some critics were just hot off of the hatred of showgirls. Because in that movie, Verhoeven swung and missed. He really did. I don't know if you ever watched a trailer for it or the movie or clips. The performances are so heightened in it that a lot of people just were like, I don't get it. I hate it. I hate this movie. So I wonder if people went into Starship Troopers with their kind of just ready to hate it because of I don't know if you noticed this, but remember when M. Night Shyamalan was on top of the world? And then he kind of showed some cracks with The Village and a little bit with Signs. But then when his next movie came out, Lady in the Water, everyone just hated him. It was weird.
Knives Out.
People hated him. There's like, oh, you gave me room to hate. I've noticed that when these directors make these good movies and they make one that's not so good, then you open up the door a little bit. And if their next one's not that great, they bomb them on that. So even watching, like if I watched it now as a movie critic and I'd never seen it, I'd give this movie a positive review. I'd be on its wavelength.
Yeah, I actually went back and looked at the movie reviews from when it came out, and the Los Angeles Times reporter said it was a jaw-dropping experience, so rigorously one-dimensional and free from even the pretense of intelligence, it's hard not to be astonished and even mesmerized by what is on the screen. They missed it so hard. It was crazy. Even Roger Ebert, who we both love, he calls it the most violent kiddie movie ever made. Because, I think when you watch the movie, you fall into one of four quadrants. I think we could totally swap this. We could flow chart it out. Where you either think you look at it and you love it and you're like, Killbug's good, yeah. Or you watch it and you're like, oh, I get it. I see the double narrative. I see what's going on here. Or you can watch it and be like, what is this B movie nonsense? And then in the fourth quadrant, I think a lot of people are terrified. Like, this is crazy fascist with all this military destruction and genocide. This is kind of frightening. And it's amazing how you can fall into any one quadrant when you watch this movie. Like when I was 17, I was like, yeah, let's go. This is a great action movie. Now at 40, I'm like, okay, I get it. I respect the double narrative. But it's amazing how you just fall into one of these 4 ways of interpreting this movie.
Do you think that's why? So some movies we were talking about this. Our most popular episode is Total Recall. For all of our episodes, almost 300 episodes, is Total Recall. And I think that was a movie that came out and everyone understood it. Critics, audiences, they always went, "This is great. This is the movie." And there's enough. You're a kid, you love it. You're an adult, you love it. You're a critic, you love it. You're a studio head, you love it. You're on it, and that's why it's so popular. Do you think that's why Starship Troopers? It has a very loyal following who are like, "You don't get the fascism, man. It's fascism." And then you get the people who love it because just kill them bugs. I don't know that accent, but kill. But there's also people who despise it. So I think that's what's kept it from being. It's a cult classic, but it's not like a universal beloved film. If that makes sense. Do you think that's what kept it from it?
I agree. I think so. I mean, our biases are so strong. It's like we see where we have that bias at. It's amazing how you could go into a movie and then come out on 4 different corners of how it is. And the fact that it's so complicated and the fact that it's where people are just now getting it now is why I think it's made this whole renaissance lately. Like if you Google Starship Troopers right now, in the last few months, you'll see tons of results and screenings and notes that like, yeah, we were wrong about this. I mean, even Honest Trailers came out recently with a hilarious skit about Starship Troopers that actually brought back Casper Van Dien to do some of the voiceovers, which was great.
This movie though, so I did Back to the Future. I brought my friend Niall in from Korea, and the researching of Back to the Future was overwhelming. I bought a book to read about it. I went on the IMDb page to read all the trivia, and it was never ending trivia. And the same as for this. There's a book about the making of it. There are like there's two commentaries on the Blu-ray. Endless making of documentaries. There's 20-minute documentaries about its fascist undertones that a million people have listened to. Countless Q&As. Retrospectives. There's just so much. It overwhelmed me a little bit, and I have so many notes. I'm not going to use 4% of them, but I thought you brought something interesting. So like when I was when I was working on my master's at Florida State, I found a thing called social judgment theory, which I thought was really interesting to me. And it's basically people have latitudes of rejection and acceptance towards let's say we look at one way really strongly, we see something the opposite, we're going to reject it immediately because that's just our latitude of rejection.
Like confirmation bias.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost. So what we want is confirmation bias is why we stick to our own echo chambers.
Exactly. And I think that's what keeps a lot of people in those echo chambers because they have such strong latitudes of rejection and acceptance. So if you are, it's interesting on this because all right, you go into Starship Troopers and you are a gung-ho military, nothing wrong with it. You see Starship Troopers and you're like, yes. You're 19 years old and you go, yes, this is my movie. But you're also a 19-year-old film snob who knows Verhoeven and you're very in tune with certain things and you pick up on the fascist undertones and no one gets it, you're going to be obsessed with this movie. So we have 2 totally different crowds obsessed with it because of like what their latitudes of rejection and acceptance are. Some people accept it because other people missed it. You don't get it, man. Like there's the counterculture of it, but then there's also the people who love it. It's really interesting.
I would add a third because from reading this and knowing people in the military that a lot of this it's like a love letter to the trigger pullers, like the people down there in the dirt, getting the job done, not afraid, putting their lives on the line. I mean, if you talk to any Army infantrymen, they're going to love it. They're not going to love it because they're just killing bugs, but because it focuses on someone who's down in the mud doing the dirty work. So, yeah, I think there's also, in addition to what you said, that having that experience identify with what's going on as well.
Oh, no, absolutely. Just having that experience. I just love how you could be, I love it because it's just about being on the ground. It's about being a trooper. But other people will go, well, most people missed it, so I love it. It's a really there's not many
ironic.
Yeah,
I love it because I'm being ironic or a contrarian.
But how many people have? Not many people have those 2 groups that love it. If that makes sense. Not many people have walked that line for the movie, and that's something really interesting about it. Is how. But Verhoeven's always done that. He made this movie Elle. It's hard to explain, but we talked about it on the podcast. But a lot of people, he also triggered a lot of people on that one, not like in a bad way, because a character didn't act the way that people are conditioned to characters acting on screen. So she got an Academy Award nomination, Isabelle Huppert, for her role in Verhoeven's latest movie. But a lot of people hated it because they're not used to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You know, Starship Troopers was hated in Germany and Italy when it came out because it struck too close to home because it resembled their fascist societies of the 30s. They hated it.
Oh, I could totally see that. Yeah, I listened to this really. Did you hear that on the Verhoeven Casper Van Dien thing? There was a 30-minute interview with them talking about the movie.
Yeah, I saw it. I loved it.
Yeah, he's such a character. I think Van Dien. I don't know. Everybody in this movie, though, they all put in really good performances. I think they cast the perfect. You know what else I think has really helped this movie is by cast. So they didn't want to get a lot of A-listers. They didn't get teenagers, so they cast a lot of TV actors. So they got Casper Van Dien, Dina Meyer, Denise Richards, Jake Busey. MPH was known, but he wasn't known in the movies. Then you also had like Seth Gilliam, Patrick Muldoon, and then you had Ironside, who people know he keeps losing arms in Verhoeven movies. He lost his arm in this one, we didn't see it. But when I think about this movie, I don't think of Dina Meyer. I think of Diz. I think of Johnny Rico. So I love it when you watch these movies sometimes and you're able to, as much as I love the Mission Impossible movies and they're getting better and better, that's Tom Cruise on screen. That's not Ethan Hunt. But in Starship Troopers, it's Ace and it's Johnny and it's Diz on the floor killing bugs. And they're the characters, if that makes sense. And I think
totally. And I think it was a wise move to cast these actors that were relatively unknown because they went all in. I mean, they were all in the role too. I mean, you could tell they were completely committed to this. And in that interview you mentioned with Verhoeven and Casper Van Dien, Casper made a couple comments, like he would question some of the direction he got from Verhoeven, but Verhoeven was like, yeah, just do it, trust me, just go for it, even though it seemed a little weird, and they didn't understand it at the time. So I think it was casting these up-and-comers or these relatively unknowns enabled Verhoeven to get him to buy in and really go for it, even though they didn't quite understand what he was going for. And that's just next level type direction.
And you know what I kind of love too is you can see how times change. So in this movie, Jake Busey had a heat stroke, and they were shooting in 100-degree weather out in Wyoming. I mean, people were dropping like flies. They had 40-pound armor in this. I mean, the stats on this movie of what they made are just insane. But people were dropping, but I think everyone hung in there because he was the first person on set, Verhoeven. He was the first and last person on set every day. So you're in 100-degree weather, and you're hot, and you're heat stroke, but Verhoeven's out there barking like a dog to get you to react. You're kind of thinking, I'm going to keep doing this movie. But what's really interesting, he went on to do Hollow Man after this. And Hollow Man is a movie that he hates. Verhoeven said that 30 other people could have directed that movie. It's not, so we covered it on the pod too, and it's not a Verhoeven film. It's not, it's generic 101. But on the making of documentary of it, you had Josh Brolin just insulting Verhoeven, kind of saying he's like an autistic guy on set. You have just people kind of going, yeah, it is what it is. And the movie got an Oscar nomination for special effects, but when he was in his heyday, people would go to Wyoming for that kind of weather and get heat stroke because of him. But when he lost it a little bit, you could tell his crew wasn't as into Hollow Man as much. So it's interesting how you watch these behind the scenes documentaries, and it's really interesting to see how he had made some Stone Cold classics, but just how the attitude towards him had changed because he wasn't on such a hit streak.
No, they just stopped buying into it.
Yeah.
They stopped. Yeah. Like maybe this guy isn't as big of a genius as we thought he was, or something along those lines.
And
I don't know.
But Shyamalan's twists were the greatest thing on the planet, and then everyone hated him.
Yeah. And he had to go to almost indie level to regain his stature in the industry.
He did.
With Devil. I mean, Devil was an epic rebound. It's one of the best rebounds I think a director's ever made in the last 20 years.
Well, he produced that. And so
he didn't direct it?
No,
he didn't direct Devil?
He produced it.
Oh, my bad. I stand corrected.
The Dowdles who did As Above, So Below, but he came back with The Visit. And that's a great comeback because it was like a $4 million movie. And it hit hard and it was a success. And then that led to Split, which punched everyone in the face. Everyone loved that. So he just went back to his roots, and then people started loving him again. And then that's the same thing that happened with Verhoeven, he left and he shot a movie in Holland called Black Book. And everyone just went, oh, he's back. It's like, he never left. He just, I guess, had to leave because I guess the system at the time, after some duds, he couldn't make movies that he wanted anymore with those budgets. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so he went back to Holland.
Yeah.
He's like, why? I'll just go back to being a big fish in a small pond, and so I could do whatever I want.
Give me $20 million and I'll make my movie. And then he made 2, and now Elle was Oscar nominated, and it brought everyone loves him now. Because same thing with M. Night. You make these massive blockbusters, but this movie now, I kind of, like you said, I love that the life. It's interesting that Netflix during this time, the second life that it's brought to movies. So Lockout has gotten a second life because of this pandemic. Right now, Jupiter Ascending is getting reevaluated. Right. I've always loved it. We've always loved it on this pod, but it's in Starship Troopers now is becoming like, holy crap, did you know that? Oh my gosh. And that's the power Honest Trailers has. So it's really cool that it's getting its due, I would say due popularity, right?
Yeah. Even so, I mentioned to a few coworkers and friends, it's like, hey, I'm watching Starship Troopers and preparing for this podcast. And they're like, oh, that movie was awful. I'm like, when was the last time you saw it? They're like, I don't know, 20 years ago. I'm like,
wow.
Trust me, watch it again. It's kind of like, I hearken it to, if you have a bad experience at an Arby's 20 years ago, and then you're like, I'm never going back to Arby's. It's like, if you have that bad experience with a consumer brand, you don't go back. Mm-hmm. But like, that's what I think is what happened here. People often had a bad experience with the movie. They didn't understand it. They fell into the WTF quadrant that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? And then they wrote it off. But yeah, it's a great point how it's back, and it's one hell of a watch right now while everyone's still staying indoors a lot of time.
It's what was I gonna say about that? I had a great point. Oh, and also, okay, so in 1960, Alfred Hitchcock made Psycho, and he could have shot it in color, but he chose to shoot it in black and white, so that everyone's like, what is this old-timey dud? And then when the kill happens, everyone just loses their minds. So he lulled them into a sense of old-fashioned, this movie isn't hip. And then when the kill happens, people just went, oh my gosh. Like, they got lulled into that kill. Does that make sense? So in this one,
it was the opposite.
Yeah. Do you think he filmed it so bright and so cheery, and so some of the performances are so over the top that people just took it at? But you also have to, as a director, people are going to take this movie at surface level.
Absolutely. That's exactly why he did. He had this facade of these beautiful people, this bright environment, all these sexy planes. So you don't realize that you're caught into this militaristic society that may or may not be, the right way to move forward.
Violence is the answer from Ironside, Michael Ironside, when he says that. And I love how Ironside had his arms gone. Rue McClanahan, as the biology teacher, was blind. Then the guy that said more people for the meat grinder, he didn't have an arm. So all these people who were up in the world were missing something or had been injured or were hurt.
Like, there are some things that stuck out to me. Like, every time that Rico got promoted was when someone died, and he was always like, yes.
You're that, so like, you died.
Someone died. Yeah, we got an opening for a corporal. You want it? Yeah. And he'd smile. And then sergeant, yeah. Lieutenant, I'll take it until I die. Or you find someone. So every time someone died, he smiled and was happy about taking that role. I think probably my favorite part of the movie when he was about to shoot the nuke into the bug hole, and as he was aiming, Jake Busey, as he was running back, he slaps Rico in the head. And then, like, Rico fires as his head was kind of, like, off to the side after getting slapped in the head. So, like, how did he make that shot if Jake Busey just slapped him in the side of the head? So he fired it, not even looking through the scope. I noticed that. And I thought,
that's funny. I never even saw that.
Oh, you didn't see that part? I saw it. And I'm like, how did he shoot that perfectly after getting hit in that side of the head?
Oh, that's funny. But, man, I like Busey. Between this and Frighteners, I feel bad they didn't do more, because I liked him in that movie, dude.
Yeah. Who do you whose idea was it for him to play the violin?
So I know it had to have been Verhoeven, because he had to learn it before they started shooting.
Because that violin scene, it stole the scene in both the times he played. When they are in the barracks when Rico was trying to talk to Denise Richards and send her a note. You got Jake Busey playing the violin, and it just added this element of weirdness to it. But then they had the party after they won the battle against the bugs, and they're all dancing to Jake Busey playing the violin, and then Rico wouldn't have been able to dance with Diz if he had not played the violin. And then that violin played, like, whose idea was to have that? To me, that little piece, that little extra was brilliant.
And I don't think it was in Heinlein's. I haven't. Do you remember that from the book?
I don't.
I don't. But that, yeah, it's a weird touch too. That's why I love it. Like a violin. It's right. Have you ever seen that? I've never seen, like, maybe an accordion, but I've never seen a violin just in the background of some cool dude who just blew up a bug playing it.
Yeah, and it's a juxtaposition in itself, like all this high testosterone people and then a dude playing a violin. I love it so much.
I think if they would have stuck with the original book too, with stuff like the bounce, where people can bounce up in the air and shoot the bugs from the top, and they had rocket launchers and they had more powerful guns, and then they had the power armor, I think they would have lost a little something on this. Like, I think that adds more to Verhoeven. I mean, at the end they win, they get the brain bug and they're torturing it at the end, but then they just go, all right, we're going to do more. We're going to kill more. We're not even done yet. We'll see you later. The movie's over. So you have no, but I liked, like you said, the visceral nature of it, the being attacked, the shooting 7,000 bullets into one of those bugs.
Well, I got to tell you, the closing line of the movie, to your point, is they'll keep fighting and they'll win.
Yeah.
That was the closing line. They're just going to keep fighting in this militaristic society.
And I love it too. I'm here. I want to see what you think about this. Where, like, people have drawn comparisons to World War II when they dropped all the people off on Omaha Beach and the close clusters of people. And a lot of people have said that the war tactics were terrible in this because Verhoeven didn't want slick ships. He wanted gigantic lumbering ships that when the bugs shot their butt bombs out of them, they got hit. So because these ships had they didn't really have a reason to be so separated. They could have really lined up in different areas and dropped those little ships off to go fly down to Earth. So they stayed together. I mean, it makes it more exciting. But it seems like they have infinite supplies of people signing up because you have to become a soldier to become a citizen, to have kids or have money or to have this or that or the other. And so you have all these ships. They just send people down to Earth with just they have nukes, man. They have interstellar travel. They can blow up asteroids in the air. Asteroids are huge, and it's a really interesting thing. Or maybe they're just drawing parallels to the 80s when you had the Russians going into Afghanistan in the caves, and so they had the better technology, but it was such a close, tight war. I don't know, but what do you think about the tactics in this? We're not tacticians, but
the tactics were god awful. I mean, I think, like, the flying in close formation, there were parts where all the infantrymen were standing in a circle, all firing toward the middle at the bugs, not worried about any crossfire whatsoever.
Yeah.
You had people, you were walking and you had people, like, firing over the heads of other people.
Yeah.
I'm like, military audiences are very fickle, I think, and when it comes to movies, because you can't divorce the fiction from, that's not how they would normally do it. But the way that they did that was awful. The fact that you just use bullets, not lasers, is unbelievable. But I think that, for one, just having machine guns rather than some kind of insecticide or something for these bugs was just, like, if you've ever fired a machine gun, it's exhilarating. When you just let loose on a gun, it is one of the most exhilarating things you could ever feel in your life. The sound, the way you look with this gun shaking. And I think he was going for that testosterone, and that anger of, like, firing at these bugs with your weapon. It's that kind of, it makes it more visceral than if you had a laser from, like, 4 miles away. So I think that's why he did it that way.
Do you think it's also about just sending troops in? Like, we don't really care. We're just going to keep sending them in. Do you think that was a little bit or no?
Yeah, I think they lost sight of humanity a little bit. We're just going to send them in. They're going to die, and then even their values were about dying. Like, I think they made it the point, and this was in the book too, where the one guy got picked up by the bug, and instead of shooting at the bug, they killed the guy.
Yeah.
They're like, I expected that was their perverted value system where like we're going to kill each other before the enemy can kill us. So it was this really strange way of thinking. But I also think that the tactics were just so far in the back of his mind, he wasn't worried about them. Because to him, I think in the book too, the bugs were just some kind of malevolent force out there. It could have been bugs, it could have been aliens, it could have been whatever type of enemy out there, and it wouldn't have mattered. But yeah, they had no business flying that close to each other with those gigantic ships. I mean, that was was idiotic things I've ever seen.
But also, like, you and I wrestled in high school. Like, we have, I used to box. You can't show the real technical wrestling. It's boring, like some of these wrestling matches. So you gotta Beverly Hillbillies it up. You gotta have some crazy stuff, or I don't know. You just gotta. He understood that. You know what's interesting? This is a complete aside, but I was watching a movie the other day where, okay, so I love the John Wick films, and I love the new Charlize Theron where she's an immortal, the Old Guard. But there's these moments where they're just so tactical. And they're switching guns, and they're swapping around, and they're moving. And it looks great, it's a ballet. But I do sometimes miss the chaos of the raid, or The Night Comes for Us. I like seeing this tactician. I like that. But there's also something in me that just is liking the random violence of Die Hard. And I don't know. So I guess if you're going full tactics, and these people wouldn't just run at each other like that, but you also have the full tactics, and who knows, does that take it out of it? Does that not make it as visceral?
That's a good point. Either you're all in or all out. And Starship Trooper they weren't even worried about tactics. I mean, exactly. I think that's a smart move because people are going to see, unless you go to like the top level, like a American Sniper, or one of those, what was the one with Mark Wahlberg in Afghanistan?
Oh, Shooter. Or the True Story, right? Lone Survivor.
Yeah, Lone Survivor, where they went to this boot camp with military professionals for several weeks to get the movements down. Unless you're going to go all in on the tactics, having that middle area is just kind of meh. It's because you're not really good at anything, so you might as well make it gaudy.
Got it. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm not hating on Wick. I love what Keanu Reeves can do on set. I mean, what Keanu Reeves does in that movie is unbelievable with Chad Stahelski and everything. But
He's so coordinated and strong. I mean, it takes a lot of physical ability to do what he does. It is definitely impressive.
But my favorite parts of those movies are on the third one, when he fights the two villains from Raid 1 and 2. And then he goes and fights Dacascos from Only the Strong at the end of 3.
Mm-hmm. I love Only the Strong?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's Dacascos. Yeah, I love...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love those parts. The kind of improv-esque. No, it's not improv. They're highly choreographed and they're great fighters, but it's more of a wild card for me and how those fights will progress rather than move left, right, tactics. Like, I'm not hating on that. I did love that Charlize Theron new movie. I think it's great. And the director, she actually did Love and Basketball. I love that movie. And so I'm very happy that she just directed a major tentpole action movie. But I like the chaotic of it. Those are my favorite action scenes, the kind of chaos that gets created. So I think it's good that they didn't just go overly tactician, like we used exact tactics during this attack, during this. Like, that's not, I don't know, it's good, and if you pull it off, it's beautiful, but in this movie, man, these bugs wiped these people out. I mean, it was...
100,000 died. Remember the Federal News Network? 100,000. And then they had the name scrolling. And then she had to do the search function to find Rico on the list of people who died. But the scale of that military disaster was probably one of the worst in history. And they remember in the movie they actually fired the admiral?
Yeah.
They fired him. They actually showed him being fired on the Federal Network for such an epic, horribly planned attack where they had no idea about the capabilities of the enemy. They just went in full on, I want to kill.
Mm-hmm. At night.
They landed at night?
Yeah, remember
you're right. Yeah.
I mean, and they had a couple nukes blow things up, but for the most part, that was, whew, that guy's going to get blown up. I don't know. And then the lady who came in kind of had the same rhetoric about it. But no, I love it. It's cool. Hey, so how about this? Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk more Starship Troopers. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And Eric, I have a surprise for you. You ready for this?
Yes.
All right, I'm not laughing on purpose. I'm just laughing because I'm dropping this on you. Last time you did the Warrior episode with us, I dropped the Frank Grillo one on you, and I caught you off guard. So I'm going to catch you off guard with this one. We're going to do the Denise Richards draft. But I'm telling you, we're going to pitch 5 movies each. We're going to pick 5 movies each, and there is plenty here to build a solid team. So
pulling it up right now on IMDb.
Since I dropped it on you, I will let you have the first pick.
Thank you. Well, my first pick would definitely be Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, no, that was my first pick. Cause
I sniped you.
That movie's really good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's underrated.
No, it's like legit underrated. But like, you know what I think is there are actors who you watch maybe Jamie Kennedy in some movies, or you'll watch David Arquette in some movies. I think there are films that perfectly cast them. And like, I think Dewey finds a nice line of sweet but smart and all this kind of stuff. And then you have Jamie Kennedy in the first Scream, or Jamie Kennedy in Bowfinger. But then you have in other movies where it's just not corralled well. But I think Denise Richards, the director, she was perfect in that movie. She was like perfectly cast in that.
Hey, you're telling me she's my top pick.
Yeah,
Drop Dead Gorgeous. I got you.
All right, I'll do Starship Troopers. Got to do it. All right, Starship Troopers.
Carmen Ibanez.
Yeah.
You know they pronounced her last name wrong the whole movie? They called it like Ibanez, I think, a couple times.
Well, 400 years have gone by. Maybe they westernized it more.
Oh, maybe. Maybe. I was like, why are they calling her Ibanez? It was driving me crazy.
All right, what are you going to do?
All right, well, I'm going to go Wild Things. Probably her best known movie. You know, at the risk of sounding a little gross, but she was dynamite, a perfect casting, and memorable in Wild Things.
I mean, I saw that when I was 16 in the theaters. I remember that. I don't know why. There's a scene though where Matt Damon or Dylan, when he's with both of them, and he just goes, "Oh yeah." I'm like, I don't think that was scripted. All right, so I'm gonna say Undercover Brother. That movie's funny. I like that. I'm gonna take yeah, sure. I'm gonna take Undercover Brother. Why not? That's my second pick.
So I didn't know this, and I feel a little bad for picking it, but I didn't realize she was in Love Actually. I had no idea that she was in there until I just pulled up IMDb right now. So I'm going to go with the classic Love Actually.
Oh, I am done. Yeah, you've won this thing easily.
Oh, yeah.
I'm toast. All right, so
your history, your Elvis.
I'm Elvis. All right, let's see. Okay, so you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do Tammy and the T-Rex. I own it. I've done a podcast episode on it. It's about where she's dating Paul Walker. He dies, and they put his brain into an animatronic T-Rex. And at the end, they're looking for a body for him, and she pours whiskey on his head to get him drunk. It's a weird movie, Eric.
Okay. I'll add it to my list. But you said Paul Walker, so I might be hooked. I love that guy. Scary Movie 3, because at 40 years old, I still find that humor funny.
There's a scene
like not another teen movie. I think it's hilarious. His humor still gets me even in my middle ages.
Watching Charlie Sheen run through a cornfield with short corn that hits him right in the balls. I mean, that's you can't beat it.
He took a lot of shots to a sensitive area in that movie. Yeah, Isn't that where they met? Isn't that where Denise Richards met Charlie Sheen and they got married?
I'm not sure. Maybe they knew each other and that's why they did it. He brought her in. I'm not sure. It's a good question.
Good point.
All right, no one's going to know this movie, but I like it because John Leguizamo finally got to lead a movie, and I've been a huge John Leguizamo fan forever. So I'm going to take Empire, where he plays a gangster, and then he shoots her and I just remember he shoots them both.
Leguizamo. Damn it, Leguizamo! Why'd you have to do that?
He gets in over his head. So you have Drop That Gorgeous, Wild Things, Love Actually, Scary Movie 3, and you have to pick one more. There's plenty in here.
But the only one I recognize has to be Undercover Brother.
Wait, I picked that one.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I don't know any of these other movies that she's been in.
Loaded Weapon 1?
She was in Loaded Weapon 1?
Yeah, with Emilio and Sam Jackson.
She was in 2 parody movies?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take it.
You know what? I'm doing this, man. I'm doing The World Is Not Enough.
I was avoiding that one. I was like, I'm not going to be the one that picks The World Is Not Enough.
Here's the thing, though. All right, so a lot of people hate on her for that movie, but if you're in her role, you're taking that film, and you're they gave her that dialogue. They gave her that role. So I don't see that as her fault, if that makes sense. Yeah, she took the role, but I don't know. You wouldn't say no to that. So I'm going to take that.
Yeah, fair point.
I'm doing Starship Troopers, Undercover Brother, Tammy the T-Rex, Empire, The World's Not Enough. You have Drop Dead Gorgeous, Wild Things, Love Actually. You're going to kill me. You're going to do this is a 90-10 right here. I'm in a lot of trouble.
On your poll, you're welcome to put an asterisk that Erik stole.
Yeah, it's all
that you were leaning toward.
It is game over here. Game over. All right, so you can go to Movies, Films, and Flicks, our Facebook page. So movies, film. Well, you know how to spell it. You're listening to the podcast. Go visit the podcast, the Facebook page. We have a lot of fun polls. Super positive place. I don't really we just keep it nice. Everyone's friendly to each other. It's a cool community. So follow Movies, Films, and Flicks on Facebook and come vote on this poll the day after this episode has been released. So if you're listening to this 20 days afterwards, just go to Movies, Films, and Flicks for other polls and more stuff that we have. So check that out then. But Erik, you were talking about some MPH's temple rubbing in this movie. Do you want to expand earlier?
Yeah. As I was rewatching this, and MPH has some special powers in this movie, and what he did to show it is he would put the two fingers against the temple move. And I was thinking, I know that temple move. And then James McAvoy from the reboot of X-Men did the same thing. And I have a theory that James McAvoy completely and blatantly ripped off Neil Patrick Harris for that temple move.
Whoa.
What are your thoughts on that?
I could see it. I mean, he was probably right around that time to like it, and you had to know that exists. You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say that, type it in. They do look the exact same. James McAvoy temple. But see, here's the thing. Okay, when I think of McAvoy's temple rub, I think of more frustrated, more angsty. When I think of MPH's temple rub, I think of it more as I'm doing science. What do you think? When MPH does it, it's more effortless. But when McAvoy does it, he's like, "Argh." He puts all of his facial muscles into it.
I disagree. I think they were both using the temple when they were really getting into it. Like Neil Patrick Harris was trying to figure out what cards that Rico was picking, and they were in his basement, and he had the ferret running around.
He's mean to that ferret.
Yeah, he had it bite his mom's leg. But yeah, he was still harnessing the power of his psychic ability. And when McAvoy does it, it's when it's like a really serious moment in the films where he really had to leverage his power for an outcome. So I think McAvoy stole it from Neil Patrick Harris.
Wow. All right, so how about this? Want to put that poll up on the Movies, Films, and Flicks page too? Who did the better temple rub, MPH or McAvoy?
Let's do it.
All right, which one am I picking? X-Men First Class?
Yes.
Okay, because he's probably perfected it by Days of Dark Phoenix.
Let's do the one where he introduced it.
All right, so the first time he did it. The first time both of them did it. Got it. Because in maybe Days of Future Past, he might have gotten better at it.
So that would be unfair to MPH because he wasn't in the Starship Troopers sequels, which there were two of them.
I watched the second one, and it's basically Bug Hunt at Outpost 9. It's a siege filler.
But it only had a $10 million budget.
Yeah. No, but it didn't even try to be. Sorry to interrupt. It didn't try to be anything other than Marines killing bugs. There was no. Does that make sense? There's no moments in it when they even threw in. There's like, let's kill these bugs.
They went for the part of the quadrant that was kill bugs good.
Yeah, exactly.
Kill bugs good, part of the quadrant.
And then I guess the third one, which I haven't watched, brought back more of the humor.
Anime. But that was the anime one, right?
No, they did a live action one with Casper.
Oh, okay. Which one was the anime one? Was that the second one or the third one?
I think it was the fourth.
They did a fourth one?
Yeah, animated.
Oh, mind blown.
They did 3 live action, and then they started doing the animated ones.
From my Googling, I think a reboot is in discussions, is what I saw.
Oh, yeah, they're planning one.
Are they really?
Yeah, but how? I don't know.
With this much, like, groundswell and this, like, cult favorite, I mean, they're going to make a lot of money off of it.
I hope so. Okay, the problem is, what the brilliance of Starship Troopers is you didn't get a lot of the brilliance of Verhoeven.
Has Verhoeven ever done a sequel?
No. So he did RoboCop. He didn't come back for that. He also did his films overseas. He never finished those. He never did a sequel to those. No, so I think that's it. I think he just does one movie and gets out. He has no urge. He just wants to make Paul Verhoeven movies, and a sequel probably wouldn't be a Paul Verhoeven movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What else do you have to say about his parallel narrative that he did in the original Starship Troopers? He made his point, and how can you add on to that?
You know, it's kind of wild. So he started off with these movies, Diary of a Hooker, Turkish Delight, which people love. But then, if you think RoboCop, right? They made a bunch of sequels and remakes. They made a PG-13 remake of RoboCop, which misses the point of RoboCop. Then they did sequels to Basic Instinct that were terrible. And then they did Starship Troopers sequels, which were terrible. They haven't done a Total Recall of one yet. Well, they did a remake of it that was PG-13, and that was terrible. It's really hard to follow up his stuff. And though they did a Hollow Man sequel with Christian Slater.
You might as well just have Adam Sandler and his crew redo Starship Troopers for his worst movie ever.
Oh my gosh! I mean, no, we got that jacked up, and yeah, I could change the name. They're jacked up soldiers.
For those of you who don't know, Mark went viral for a suggested Adam Sandler worst movie of all time based on all of his other worst movies, and it went totally viral everywhere. And I think this might challenge it.
Hey, Sandler asked for it. So
Yeah.
I think that's why people loved it, because I wrote it positively. Like, hey, Sandler, you said that you would make the worst movie ever if Uncut Gems...
It was constructive.
Yeah.
It was constructive. Like, you were trying to help him out.
And so it didn't just come... I think people loved it because it didn't come from the Hateful Eight. But, oh man, that'd be good. The Hateful Eight versus Starship Troopers. Them stuck in a thing, just shooting bugs.
Out west or in outer space?
It'd have to be... Oh, man. Well, he's never done a movie... Well, Pixels was outer... It'd have to be a Western, because that's a 0% rated movie.
But then they did Cowboys vs. Aliens, which was panned.
Oh, that movie though just didn't. That movie looked great, but it didn't have anything, right?
I don't remember anything from it.
No,
I watched it, but I don't remember a thing.
You know what's weird when you watch, and maybe you have this too, but when you watch as many movies as me. You know that the movies are good that you like when you can remember watching them, or you can remember character names. So there's movies that came out this year like Bloodshot that I love and I think about it all the time. But then I'm watching movies 4 weeks ago and I'm like, oh yeah, I saw that. Does that make sense? So
it makes complete sense. Look at Starship Troopers. I remembered the movie in 2020 after it came out in 1997. Like I remembered all those iconic scenes. I can't say that about so many movies that just go in and out.
You brought up a movie earlier when we were talking. You brought up Extract. I completely forgot I watched that movie. Extract? No, Extraction.
Extraction.
That's all Jason Bateman. Extract, where he works at a factory and he's just miserable.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Extraction with Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, no, we were, but I just called it Extract. So then I said... and they needed some extractions from this movie, too, and Denise and the other pilot who came down. So it was Denise... what's the other guy's name?
Send in the boat. The boat's coming down.
Xander. When Xander and Carmen came down. Erik, they're in high school. Their indoor football league is insane. Our team... What's happening? Like, what? Oh, so they're not outdoors. This is indoor arena football. Full flips, tackles with 40-year-old people, and they're high schoolers, and Dizzy's the quarterback.
You know what's something I caught the last time I saw it was when after the game, when they went to the glitzy prom and Diz and Rika were dancing, he asked her what she was going to do after high school. And she says, I might play for Tokyo or Rio. I don't know. Depends on who lets me start. So she gave up a scholarship or an opportunity to play football quarterback of the next level to join the mobile infantry to follow him.
Jeez Louise. Well, he's following Denise Richards.
Yeah.
It
was a bold move, Cotton.
And Pepper needs new shorts. If she would have been safe in Tokyo too, because they got Buenos Aires. They blew that up, right? The bugs. So some people say it's an inside job. Did the bugs? Do you think there's no way to prove one way or the other, right?
Inside job?
Yeah, they said that the military shot a rock, so she did another course. So no one should have been out there, and that rock shouldn't have come from that area. So they said that someone, like the military, sent that rock that way to get people attacking the bugs quicker.
Oh, I missed that. I completely missed that nuance in the movie.
Well, that's just a theory that people have on the intranet.
I wonder how much fan fiction is being written about Starship Troopers.
I bet you there's a lot. But that's been brought up. And also, I gotta say, we haven't brought this up yet. This was $100 million movie. But that football scene from a production standpoint, is very expensive. Very
and that's
expensive.
a lot of extras. They had so many extras in the basic training scene and the college scene and the football scene. I mean, that's a lot of people marching around going,
so many. And they built that entire set, and they built that football set, and they made those costumes and helmets and shoulder pads for one take, like one scene. And then that dance, the amount of extra. There was good dancing extras in that, by the way. I normally hate dancing extras.
Yeah, it's a good point. A lot of them are really bad when you really look in the surrounding areas when they dance.
That's the problem with working with so many. I was going to say a couple things. Watching tennis movies nowadays, that's tough because you can't capture tennis correctly on screen with the actors. But watching movies now, whenever I see extras doing something weird, it makes me so mad. But I don't know if you noticed that scene where they really glory lit the heck out of Diz in that scene. So her hair light is just out of this world. So
she had big hair. She had big, awesome, beautiful hair in that movie. The whole movie.
But they did that to draw the attention on her. So normally when they glory light somebody, watch a movie where there's a love interest or someone who's very angelic or you're supposed to like, they glory light them. So just watch her hair. That's another Verhoeven decision that I think he did a pretty great job on. I mean, he just knew. And so I don't know if you know Joss Vacano, the DP on this movie. He also did Das Boot, and he had worked on hit with Neverending Story before this one too.
Neverending Story, wow.
Yeah, so he drowned that horse. And then the production designer, I don't know, real quick.
Oh, we can thank him for all those nightmares and crying sections we had in middle school with the Neverending Story.
Just a horse dying. But this guy, the production designer of this, Alan Cameron, he did all the Mummy movies. He did Van Helsing, Sahara, but he also did Willow and Jungle Book and all those movies before this. So they had some big. They had the guy who shot Das Boot, RoboCop, Hollow Man, Total Recall. They had the designer, the production designer from Willow and Jungle Book and major movies. They had Phil Tippett. Man, it's just crazy. And the costumes they made how many costumes? 2,300 costumes for this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I just had to bring that up. I know
from all the extras and the boot camp scenes.
I know we're going
and all
to
the soldiers.
It's crazy, right? Just the amount of guns that they actually built.
Remember the scene where Rico and the other pilot got in that fight where the pilot was like, rank doesn't matter right now, and then they all they get in this big brawl and it really looked like they wanted to hurt each other. A lot of times in fights you're like, whatever, but these two guys looked like they really wanted to tear each other apart. And there were at least 200 people in that set watching that fight and surrounding it, and it gives it that kind of energy. But that was a lot of people.
Yeah, there's just keeps so many extras in this. And you know what else is interesting? They filmed all the war scenes first. So Phil Tippett had more time to do the animation, which is really smart. And then they filmed all that crap later.
Oh, that's a good move because it's right. There's 3 different war scenes spread out on the same desert-looking planet.
So they did that all back to back. It
kind of looked like Tatooine a little bit from the Star Wars.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. It's crazy that they did it in Wyoming and certain areas. But
they had the slot canyons, and they had if you're moving through a terrain, never go through a valley where the enemy could be on rocks above you. That's another attack. Going back to the tactics, it's the worst possible thing you can do.
I just watched a movie called Dracula Untold, and I really enjoyed it. We did an episode for it, but this Persian general leads something like 100,000 people through a crevasse. You're kind of, not like a canyon. And you're like, what? You just gave up the high. Canyon. Yeah, you just gave up the high ground. That's not have you not watched Revenge of the Sith or Wonder Woman? They gave up the high ground too, and they got wiped out. That lady got shot. Just never give up the high ground. But
yeah, you talking about Wonder Woman when they swang down from the cliff to fight the bad guys on the beach?
Yeah, they had a ton of bow and arrows. They could just lit them up.
What are you doing? Why are you going down there?
Maybe they hadn't seen guns yet, so maybe they didn't. They had a bunch of hubris. But also, I mean, it's just Battle 101. You haven't scouted these people. Just shoot them with your bows and arrows.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I bet you the military advisors out there are like, yeah, listen to Mark. But all I'm saying is hold on to high ground.
It's not like it's a secret. It's something that's been done for thousands of years.
Yeah, just keep high ground. But that Starship Troopers fight, you're right. They really did go at each other. But my bouncing days, I've seen a ton of brawls, and I've never seen somebody get flipped. In movies, they love flipping people. Just picking people up and flipping them. There's some pretty good flips on tables in that fight.
Yeah, the Xander slammed him down on the table, and he kneed him, and then flipped back to his feet. Like in a real fight, you wouldn't have time, or you wouldn't want to waste the energy required to do a flip if you could do a flip, which I cannot.
It wouldn't even look that good though. In a real world, the table would explode.
Well, there are two other flip situations. There was the flip in the football game.
Yep.
There's a flip when they were doing the laser tag in the basic training where he and Diz ran the football play, and he flipped over the two guys and then drilled them. There were three most flips ever in a movie. 3 different occasions that I can count.
It's like the Hoffmeyer spin, but the flip maneuver. But, man, that's but I've just never seen a flip like that. I mean, I know this movie's heightened, but if I was ever a bouncer in a bar and I saw that flip, someone do that to somebody, I'm like, I'm just going to let him wear himself out for a second. Then I'm going to go over there.
He earned this fight.
Yeah.
Just stay over there and do your thing.
The worst thing that could ever happen to a bouncer is for him to, as a bouncer, get flipped.
There's no going back to the bar after getting flipped.
I'd quit. I would quit. I remember one time I slipped going to break something up and I fell and everyone started laughing and it made me angrier. Yeah.
Just call it a night after that.
Yeah, I'm out of here, guys. I slipped on beer. I'm like, I'm done. But yeah, so back to the extraction thing that I cut us off on.
I had some thoughts about extraction and Chris Hemsworth killing dozens of people in Bangladesh. So Verhoeven is getting all this praise for this parallel narrative of a militaristic society, whereas you also have the shoot 'em up type of narrative where you're rooting for the soldiers, but you probably shouldn't be rooting for them because it's kind of like this fascist society that was inspired in 30s Italy and Germany. But on the other hand, how many protagonists do we root for all the time in movies that are not good people, like Chris Hemsworth in Extraction? Yeah, he had some internal demons from whatever happened. I can't even remember, but he's killing so many people. I don't see how Verhoeven's message in Starship Troopers is any different from the action movies of today.
No, and all right, so you think about Extraction. His mission was to save one kid, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So, okay, yes, there are a corrupt police force, and there are, but I mean, okay, so you're under, but okay, let's say you're like, oh, they're corrupt cops and they're mercenaries, they deserve to die. But how many stray bullets and rocket launchers took place during this brawl for one kid's life? Like, Chris Hemsworth's out there punching children, and he's hurt. Like, how many stray bullets or shrapnel? How many? Like, but it's played so seriously in Rah. I guess I have a better time with it when it's Commando, or Starship Troopers. That's so heightened, I guess.
Yeah, Commando. He stood in a field. How many you did the numbers from Commando on how many bullets?
Yeah.
John, whatever his name, fired in that field, just killing these Central American mercenaries.
How many missed him? How many missed him?
But how is this any different than Commando just murdering people left and right? I'm only bringing this up. We're praising Verhoeven for this parallel narrative, which is really smart, and I think it's innovative. But is it really that different?
Let's see. That's a good question, because he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't add. He added that scene with Diz and Johnny. When they got the extra 20 minutes, he adds the shower scene. He wanted to create equality, but he adds that. He adds the blood, the guts. He brought in Kevin Yeager, who had done Nightmare on Elm Street, to show blood and guts. But I think he also wanted to show how nasty it was. Like, it's glorified, but then you see the death and destruction, and you're like, whoa, this is real. So he knew what he was doing, but I think he makes it so heightened that it's not played super real. I don't know. And they're killing bugs? No, but then these bugs are super smart. I don't know. What do you think? I'm trying to draw my thoughts here.
Yeah, I'm just asking you because I don't have an answer. I was just seeing all the praise that Verhoeven is receiving for delivering this parallel narrative. But then I looked at current movies, and I don't see much of a difference in rooting for these heroes and protagonists who are just, the body count is just astronomically high, like John Wick, Chris Hemsworth in his Extraction. So I think it's an interesting point that, a lot of praise has come to Verhoeven, but a lot of it just seems like normal now. Or maybe he was just a forerunner in introducing this type of movie that influenced future generations of movies.
Like, all right, so when he did RoboCop, do you remember how violent that was? But then he also wanted to establish race relations with big corporations. But he made that the violence so heightened. And then in Total Recall, I mean, he just murders everybody. But you're kind of wondering, is it real? Is all this murder real? Am I dreaming? What is going on? Is it real? Is it fake? So I think he always does a good job of blending, except for Hollow Man. He does a good job of blending violence with just enough questions or nuance to make it not you. I'm telling you what's nuanced about Extraction?
Nothing.
So I would rather watch incredibly heightened violence or nuanced kickboxer violence than something that plays it perfectly straight.
Agree.
I don't see a point to that. Like The Raid is so bonkers that or The Night Comes for Us is so bonkers that it's just a ballet of blood and you embrace it. But I would rather watch those than those movies that take it super seriously. I really would. If it's based on true story, that's fine. But I don't like this wanton. So I've been hurt before, man, where you watch some of these movies and you're like, man, how many people just die? People talk about maybe Man of Steel, but Man of Steel with all that destruction, he's trying to save billions, and then I guess thousands die in the process. So there's nuance, I guess, to that. But no, I don't like that. I don't like these movies that just play it super safe. And like one guy killing everybody for the sake of one person. That gets old to me. I don't know. So I think what Verhoeven's doing has enough edge and intelligence to it to differentiate itself, I would say. But he knows what he's doing. But he does.
And I don't have an answer to this question. I just thought it was interesting to explore and see if the way he approached things has inspired other movies, or if it's really how much different is it really?
You're right. And I think the problem with his is he's just such a gutsy guy. He'll make a Showgirls. He'll make these movies that are very kind of European centric, very European, like liberal centric, but he takes chance. I just think he'll take chances and make things weird, make things bloody, make things over the top. So that's why I hate the straightforward, like Eraser. I know they have these guns, but it's just tons of innocent people getting murdered. I don't know. Like Mad Max Fury Road, they added levels to the violence, so it made it. These war boys thought they were going to Valhalla. They had been brainwashed to that process. And,
right.
And at the end of it, when these people are dying, it's because they're going back to give a better life to these people who are all suffering because of Immortan Joe. And I guess Starship Troopers, you get the rah-rah, but it's also just showing how they're just using these. You see that cow dying in this movie, and then you have all these humans getting lit up in the same way when they were unprepared. They're just more fodder for it, I guess. And what's interesting too is I was just thinking about this. So when we watch it, right, it's ridiculous that they're high schoolers in the beginning, but at the end of the movie, they look older than the purposely young kids that they have.
Yeah, they made a statement on that when Rico and Jake Busey were introducing to the new squad. They got reinforced, and he was like, "Look at all these young kids."
And they cast young kids.
They did, and it made them look kind of weathered. Yeah, kind of like they've been through a pretty nasty deployment, and it was showing in the way they carried themselves and the way they looked.
So I think that's maybe smart that they cast them, because at the end you totally bought into them being the old school guys.
Yeah, good point. It's like you can make someone look older, you can make them look younger. It was right in that sweet spot.
Oh, let me go back to what we were talking about before. So Hollow Man is a movie that Paul Verhoeven said anybody could make. And when you're watching that movie, it's very, it's just, there are scenes where he just sees a lady, Rona Mitra, and he goes over and attacks and rapes her. And then later on, he's assaulting people and he's just killing them. But the violence, there's no flair to it. There's no point to it. It's just, you don't care. It just becomes a slasher movie. Mm-hmm. It's not daring. It's not like saying like these people under a fascist thing, or it's not overly playing it as in RoboCop. It's just violence for violence sakes and attacks for attacks sakes. And it offends me more than anything in Starship Troopers, because it's played so blasé in this movie. Like there's nothing behind it. So that's when I get annoyed with movies, is when they just show that violence like that.
Yeah, there's got to be something more.
Mm-hmm. And that's what his early movies did, and that's what Hollow Man didn't, I guess. So I guess to answer your question is, I guess that's why he gets away with it, right? And that's why it's better, because there's something under it. I guess there's only so long that John Wick can keep killing people for his dog, but I'm still gonna watch every single one of the movies because they're great. But I don't know. So that's a good. I mean, but that's what I like about Verhoeven movies. You can actually ask these questions about it, and I think that's where a lot of the good action movies come in. So you have The Rock, where Ed Harris gets in over his head, right? And when the Marines die, you feel it because it's the accidents that they made. Yeah. And then when the rest of his crew turns on Ed Harris, you feel for him because he got in over his head with good intentions, and he brought in people who just wanted the money. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I wrote that Cracked article about Bokeem Woodbine's background acting in that. So if you read it, go to Mark Hoffmeyer Cracked, you'll read a good article I wrote about that movie, about his acting in that. But yeah, so I mean, there's something behind that. I think that's where good action films live.
Ed Harris was really complex in The Rock. That's for sure.
And then you watch Face Off, which we did the other day. Background watched it. It's so insane by John Woo that you see the violence in it, but you're just... It's so stupid, right? It's
Can you imagine if John Woo did Starship Troopers?
Holy mackerel! My fellow teacher Hakeem and I, we just did Hard Boiled, which is one of his classics. It's like a gun ballet. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it because Hard Boiled is about these two cops trying to take down these horrible people, drug runners, and going outside the force to do it. It's kind of his Clint Eastwood. But the gun ballet and Starship Troopers probably wouldn't have been, because he did Wind Talkers. That didn't work. I don't know if his style translates well to war movies. It's more Face Off. It's more Broken Arrow. It's more Hard Boiled, The Killer, small scale, when you can fit those in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Their battle should not have been a ballet. It should have been, like when he blew up the tanker bug, like it was just big and ugly and fun, and the deaths are brutal and not.
You needed murderous destruction. Yeah. Just wanting to just unload this clip on this bug. And I think they showed it, the part when the bug was dead, but the guy was so amped that he just kept firing into the bug. And even though the bug was long gone, he was so fired up and into that culture and that mission that's what he needed to do.
And that's Seth Gilliam from The Wire. So whenever I see him now, I'm like, The Wire! That dude's cool. I like him. Sugar Watkins. No, but I don't know. I think this is... Let's see. I have so many notes. But this movie, I guess... Where am I trying to get here? I mean, when they're talking about the supreme authority is violence, they put it so far in your face, too.
Yeah, that was the most in your face part of the movie, I think.
And
everything else was kind of subtle, but that was like really... but they said it in a classroom setting, I believe.
Exactly.
Right?
In the beginning of the movie, when you're still absorbing.
Yeah. But when it's in a classroom setting, it's hard to I know they're discussed this for a reason, but then later on you don't really connect it unless you're really paying attention. What's that Russian writer who said that if you write a scene and then there's a gun on the wall?
Oh, Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. Make sure that the gun is going to come to play later on in the book. And that was, one of those understated, subtle lines that was a big part of the movie later on.
And then the autopsy scene, you see those little bugs carrying the brain bug later. And Carmen, who's so grossed out by it, cuts off that brain bug's thing.
Oh, yeah. After her buddy's brains got sucked out.
That's when I love these movies, when you have... I don't know, when things come back later. I like tight scripts. I like things that can go back to where they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think this movie does it. They're talking about what were they also going big on? Biology as a weapon in this movie as well. So they're kind of talking about how they got smarter, but they're not as smart as they think. But then they turn out to be smarter, and then they had to waste people to do that. And then just the disposability, the people are disposable, and Rico's math skills aren't good, so he has to go into mobile infantry.
And even Xander, the pilot, he ended up not being such a bad guy after all. You hated him in the beginning, and then he wasn't so bad because he got their backs. He flew into a hot zone to pick them up. I mean, he came out shooting.
Yeah, and then his final line was, "Someone like me is going to murder you all."
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He probably had the biggest arc of anyone in the movie.
How do you get those? How does that bug? What does it get from the brains? It's just something sci-fi, correct?
They never explained it.
Yeah.
Like when they sucked out the brains, how they could absorb the information. They didn't even bother to understand.
But I think since they call it the brain bug, you just go, oh, okay, cool. That makes sense. Suck a brain.
Yeah, it's giant.
I like when movies do that too, when they just explain it to you. It's a brain bug. Oh, okay, cool. I got it.
And if you're sitting through this entire podcast, I assume you've either seen it or it's been so long, but rewatch it. Rewatch the movie. It's definitely worth watching again and thinking about it and all the influences that this movie has made throughout the year, because we talked about the role of protagonists, we talk about inspirations with other movies, and there's a lot there, and I encourage you to watch it on Netflix right now.
Yeah, watch it, enjoy it. Go watch all the extras too. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's a rich movie.
I had a scare. I bought a Blu-ray and it didn't work. So then that was kind of a scare getting everything back in time to get the extras. But there's hours of documentaries, 2 commentaries. Verhoeven talks over everybody, but it's still worth listening to. But yeah, watch it. No, I'm glad you suggested this, Erik, because this is a multi-layered movie where I did not look at this when I was 15 like the way I look at it now as a 38-year-old man. At all.
Well, it's got me thinking about all the other movies I've watched, but I've completely missed the point. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's got to be so many movies where I've just glossed over, but there's a lot of hidden meaning there. And Starship Troopers is one of those movies that came back, and it's kind of fun to see, more than 20 years, have gone by, but it was just ahead of its time. So my hat's off for all those movies and TV shows out there that have been ahead of their time, like Arrested Development, Serenity. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that people don't understand at first, but then later on really come to appreciate.
This was good. Well, thank you for joining me, man.
My pleasure. I'm going to go kill some bugs.
Some more bugs, right?
Some more bugs. And I'm going to admire there's actually an Instagram account dedicated to Casper Van Dien's jawline.
No way.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
And then I guess before I get out of here, I just got to say, John Levengood of this podcast and of Movies, Films, and Flicks came up to visit recently, and we were kind of just hanging out, having like a relaxing day, and we watched on Tubi a free. Oh, so he does the voice of Johnny Rico in the animated films. We recently watched him in Sharktopus vs. Whale Wolf. And I'm telling you, but he gets it, man. He gets it. So if you want to watch it on Tubi, it's free. So check that out. All right, we're out of here, man. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Remember, the only good bug is a dead bug.
That was the producer saying that, too. What a line reading.
It was so bad.
The only good bug is a dead bug. All right, so from you, Mark Hoffmeyer, for Erik Hoffmeyer, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.